everyone's doing wonderful out there, wonderful world of YouTube. Just need a few minutes before we start. Make sure that we're live. It looks like we might be live. Okay. We are live, so that's good. But yes, guys, 25 years later, sitting here talking about DMW. What can I say? I'm the original owner. If you didn't know, Frank the Tank was my wrestling name. And yeah, here's the original t-shirt. Well, a replica of the original t-shirt. This isn't the original t-shirt from DMW, but this is a replica of what I actually used to wear, in a way. So, I'll show you guys. Stone Cold Blooded. This is exactly the same t-shirt I used to wear back when 2000, when I used to wrestle, and on the back it says No Mercy. So yeah, this was the t-shirt I used to wear with track pants back in the day with the snaps. And then technically I used to wear runners. So yeah. But with that being said, I want to give a special thanks to Anthony Zabrowski, Crystal Zabrowski, Kerry Richards, what was his name? Robbie Chartrand, Dave Hicks, Cody, Ryan, Richard St. Clair, Justin. I can't remember. If I don't remember your last name, I'm just going to say your first name. And anyone else that really worked for the company. But yeah. Well, we also had Rhino and we also had Raven and people like that as well. So thank you, Scott, as well, for Raven. I can't remember Rhino's real name. But yeah. And like I said, thank you for those people that literally helped. But being said, let's go back a little bit before we talk about the original show. I am going to talk about the original show, but I want to talk about how it all started, in a way. So, how it all started was back in September or August of 2000, in a way. I used to live in something called the Projects, is what it was called. So, it was literally an area where technically you grew up. We had a bunch of kids that had personal vendettas against each other. I had a personal vendetta against Anthony. He wanted me dead. He had his dad try to run me over with a car. He killed my cat by putting it on a railroad track. Like, he threw dead birds in my yard. He literally tried to torment me, in a way, to the point where I literally just had enough. And I remember watching wrestling one day, and I seen Undertaker, and he had, like, pants. Said Dead Man Inc. on it. And I remember literally going up to my mom and dad and saying, Dead Man Wrestling? And they said, what did you just say? Dead Man Wrestling. Then my mom said, well, that sounds like a great idea. I said, great idea for what? A wrestling company? She just said, and it was like a spark blew up in my dad's brain. Then we went to the biker clubhouse, in a way, because I come from a biker family, so we went there. I took a $5,000 loan, in a way. Didn't have a place, didn't have a location, didn't have anything at that time. I just took a $5,000 loan from the bikers, and I had literally less than a month to literally figure it all out. So yeah, that's how it all started. And then technically, I just asked people around the neighborhood, in a way, who do you want to fight? Who the hell do you do not like? Who the hell do you want to kick his goddamn ass in? And that's how it all started, pretty much. It was a bunch of us friends that had personal vendettas against each other that just wanted to kick each other's ass. And that's pretty much how it all started. I didn't have a wrestling ring. I didn't have anything when we first started, pretty much. But as over time, we started building that. The wrestling ring, I had a boxing ring. That didn't come until literally the third or fourth episode of DMW, because it took me a while to literally get one. I didn't even know where to get a wrestling ring or even a boxing ring necessary, because that's what I bought, was a boxing ring, and I had to make it into a wrestling ring. So, um, but yeah. So over time, we literally started beefing and everything else. I started writing up some contracts. Um, the bikers literally told me, well, technically, make sure you put in that there won't be any injuries or death that you could be accounted for. So I would put that in, because the biker said, well, technically, if they get a little scratch on them, they're going to try to sue your ass, you know, and you just don't know how it's going to all work out. So yeah, we did that, and I printed out about 400 flyers, I think it was. I literally created this freaking flyer, went to a shop. The original flyer got destroyed years ago. I don't even have the original flyer. I wish I did. But yeah, I just drew up a whole bunch of freaking things. The original flyer just had the name, it had the matches in a way, it had the ticket price, and yeah. The ticket price was originally $10 per show. That went all the way until probably like 2004. I think it was, and then I had to raise it to $15. But yeah, the original price was always $10 roughly per person uh, to see the matches. Winners got $40, losers got $20 at first. Eventually, I raised it to 60 and 40, but that's as much as you would get. I was an independent wrestling company. I didn't make very much money to begin with, so that's the way how things worked. Once we started establishing money, then I would pay a little bit more. We did some of the most craziest matches that I'm going to talk about, but at the end of the day, I'm sort of getting a little ahead of myself, as well. But yeah, the main feud that started the wrestling company was me and Anthony Zabrowski. We hate each other. Like I said, he literally tried to run me over. He killed my cat. He put dead birds in my yard. He stole off me. It got to the point where we were gonna beat the shit out of each other no matter what. So our dads decided, well, technically, you want his ass. He wants it your ass. So we decided to do what we called is a death match in a way. And the whole purpose of a death match, for anyone that doesn't know, for DMW, was to knock the fucker out. There's no win, there's no pinfall, no submission. Just knock the fucker out. It didn't matter how you did it. It didn't matter how it was done. And this was a real fight. Before someone says, well, technically, no, it wasn't real, it was fake. No, death matches were real. There's a reason why we literally did them. And that's why technically they weren't common. It's a real freaking shoe fight. That's real blood. That's real fucking gore. We really are hammering each other. So yeah. Other matches on the card on the first show were brothers. We had two brothers that didn't like each other. So we had Ryan versus Cody in a way in a rooftop match. They decided, well, technically they want to throw each other off a freaking roof, and I just said, go right for it, man. We had a little crash pad that I bought before the show. This crash pad must have been like $30 or something like that. I think I got it at Walmart. It was just a little black mat, pretty much, which we put off to the side so no one could actually see. So if someone gets tossed off, well, it just looks like, wow, he literally just died. No. There was a little crash pad that technically they wanted, but they wanted to beat each other up, and yeah. So we did that match. We did Crystal versus Kerry Richards. So Crystal Zabrowski versus Kerry Richards. Scary Kerry versus Shining Crystal, as we called her. Because those two had personal vendetta. If I remember correctly, Crystal was sleeping with Kerry's boyfriend at the time, and those two didn't like each other. And yeah, because of it. And it just became like, and like I said, I was 10 years old, and I was hiring teenagers. I was hiring young adults, I didn't give a crap. If you were into projects and technically you wanted to kick each other's ass, you go right ahead. And then we also had we had 4 matches. So the next match was uh, Robbie the Rebel versus Richard St. Clair. And yeah, I refereed 2 matches on the very first show. Dave Hicks refereed the other 2 matches. And honestly, the one thing I would say about the very first show is that I shouldn't have hired Dave because he was juiced. He was drunk in a way, and literally did not know how to do it properly. He was just letting anything go. He's like, yeah, go ahead, beat him up, keep going. So I did the first 2 matches. I refereed the first 2 matches. Dave Hicks refereed the second 2 matches. Um, but yeah, but even before that, before the show even started, I had to make sure I got some material. So I went to Walmart in a way. I remember going with my dad. We went to Walmart and we went and got some white bed sheets, just white bed sheets, and some spray paint. And we spray painted DMW, just the logo in a way. And we put that over the goalpost because this was like the location was in the football field. I knew, like, after going, I knew that the location was going to be in the football field. There was a guy that was renting that literally was the football field owner. He literally said you can rent out the football field for $50. I think his name was Doug or Gary at the time. I can't remember his name. Sorry. This is 25 years later. you know. Um, but yeah. But yeah, I rented the football field. It was $50 to use the field / locker rooms to get changed, whatever, you know. And this was at Nomads Field, Winnipeg, Manitoba, in the North End. So yeah, which I used to literally sort of live in a way. I didn't really live there. I just stayed there from time to time. I was mostly on the road most times. But when I was there, you know, hello, Mr. Nice. Hope all is well. But yeah, I'm literally talking about the very first show, and yeah, which happened 25 years ago. And honestly, since you weren't here to see it at the beginning, here, I'll show you this. This is a replica T-shirt of my original gear that I used to wear back in the day. The original one got literally destroyed, so I literally had to find a replica. But yeah, this is my original T-shirt I used to wear when I used to wrestle. And on the back it said "No Mercy." I used to wear this with track pants and runners, and I used to beat the crap out of you. But yeah, so as things went, I bought a boombox there. I think I spent $35 on a boombox, $20 on a mic, a whole bunch of like random CDs for entrance music. Um, so yeah, and as the show was starting to literally unfold, we still didn't have a wrestling ring. So we had no idea what the frick we were going to do, you know? So what I literally said, just beat the shit out of each other in the freaking football field. That's what I said. Just go ahead, beat each other up. I don't care what you do. Just make it entertaining, you know, do whatever. And that's exactly what they did, you know, at first. Until I eventually got a boxing ring, you know, and that's pretty much how it all got started. So now we're going to talk about the very first show, in a way. The very first show kicked off with Cody versus Ryan in a rooftop match. I was the referee for that match. I made sure everything was according to plan, in a way, you know. So how the match started was abandoned freaking house. It was just abandoned house on the freaking gravel road, in a way. No one was using the goddamn house, so we just decided, well, let's do a match there, you know. So I literally went and borrowed my dad's ladder, in a way, because he had a ladder, so we just borrowed it, and we climbed up on top of the freaking roof. We didn't even know if the roof was going to cave in on us, you know. It could have. in a way. But we literally tested the roof beforehand. We made sure that it was kind of safety in a way. We were jumping off that roof constantly. We were literally trying to put pressure on it. So we sort of knew. And before the match, we literally set up the freaking thing. We put it on the side of the freaking roof that no one could literally see in a way. So technically it was on the side. And yeah, we had Cody versus Ryan. The match lasted about 4 minutes roughly. Before Cody got tossed off by Ryan. But yeah, refereed the match, made sure that technically everything was nice and clean and everything else. Made sure that technically when Ryan was throwing him off, he actually did hit the crash pad, like Cody hit the crash pad. So everything worked out perfectly fine in that. And yeah, they just brawled. And it looked like they were trying to literally throw each other off the other side of the roof, which that's the reason why I had to sort of guide them during the match. This side, this side, this side, And fans were sort of figuring out that what I was trying to do because I'm all like, come on, this way. So, yeah. Eventually some people literally seen the crash pad and literally said, literally go over here, you could see everything. It's like, damn. I was trying to hide it, I was trying to make a dramatic freaking scene, but some people did see it. The next match would have been Carrie versus Crystal. So these two literally had beef because, like I said, Crystal was sleeping with Carrie Richards' boyfriend at the time, and these two just had a freaking hatred battle against each other. So they just wanted to kick each other's ass. So they just literally wrestled each other until there was nothing left. So they wrestled in the football field. I was the referee for that match as well. So, and then technically, yeah, that match went on about literally, I would say probably about 25, 30 minutes. And you're going to say, what the hell did they do it for 25, 30 minutes? They ripped each other's clothes. They were pulling hair. They were fucking smashing each other for the bleachers. Like just really freaking going at it. Like the crowd was into it. And honestly, like that would be the match that literally made people interested in DMW. The first match didn't. But the second match with the girls literally fighting, they're literally pulling hair, they're literally freaking clawing at each other. And this was literally, and they were doing it for real because they really hate each other, So they're scratching, they're freaking clawing and everything else. And it was kind of like a cat fight, but a long cat fight. And I just let it go because at the end of the day, it's two girls wrestling, Yeah, I'm 10 years old, but hey, might as well let it go if the fans are into it. Scary Carrie got the win with a Hurricanrana. She did a Hurricanrana from the bleachers and literally hit Crystal's head into the freaking bleacher pole, which knocked her out and got the 1-2-3 in the field. I do remember that. So for anyone that says, do you actually remember that? Yeah, I sort of do because Crystal had a nice little dent in her head in a way because of it. And yeah. The third match, I did not referee. I went inside to go get changed for the main event in a way. So I had Dave Hicks. I literally asked him, I said, well, technically, could you referee? He was my dad's friend. He was pretty juiced in a way. He'd been drinking almost all freaking day. I said, could you referee just a couple matches? He's like, yeah, if you give me some money. I said, how much? Give me $40. I'll referee the other two matches. I said, here's $40. I handed it to him. He goes and referees the next match. The next match was Robbie the Rebel versus Little Richard. Those two literally have personal beef because Robbie was a biter. And he was known to literally just bite people. And Richard literally had a brother named Ridge. And he was kind of in a wheelchair. And Robbie bit him. And that's how the fight, and this is how the feud got started, because He was in the wheelchair. Robbie just goes ahead and just starts biting him and making fun of him and everything. Little Richard literally said, I had enough of this. Stop picking on my damn brother. And he literally said straight up, I'm going to kick your freaking ass and I want a match. Little Richard came up to me. I said, I want a match with that little shit over there. I said, let's make it happen. How do you want it? He literally said, give me a no disqualification match. Anything goes. I said, go right for it. And then technically, Dave was refereeing that match. According to what I heard, I wasn't there. I was literally getting changed. So I was getting changed, getting ready for my match. According to what I heard, in a way, these two were battling out and everything else. Little Richard did get the win. By, I think he literally took a hammer and literally hit him in the fucking head, in a way. And just literally bashed freaking Robbie the Rebel right in the fucking head and literally got the win. And this is a real hammer, too. This is not no freaking prop. This is no staged, in a way. I didn't even prove that there should be a hammer. But he brought a hammer to the freaking thing and just literally freaking bashed him in the head. And literally made him fucking bleed. And I sort of remember it because technically I remember literally hearing, well, technically there's a fight going down. Someone's getting bashed in the freaking head with a hammer. You better come quick. And I'm like, what? So I got changed right away. Went to go see what was going on, in a way. And then sure enough, like, Robbie Rebel was covered in fucking blood. As Little Richard said, I'm finally done with you, you fucking shit. If you ever pick on my brother again, I'll freaking make sure I finish the job. And I just went, holy shit, you know? So that's when I sort of knew that we literally had something pretty well going. Now we're going to the final match, which was me versus Anthony Zabrowski. Now, I went to go check up on the freaking thing, so I was kind of already out there in a way. But I literally had to literally go back in a way, because I couldn't literally be shown right away. Because this is a match, so this is the main event. So I go back through the curtain and everything else, and I have Anthony come out first, he's literally freaking Mr. Macho. He's literally freaking saying, I got you, you son of a bitch, and then I just come out, with a dead stare in my freaking eyes. I'm like, yeah, that's right, you're gonna be mine tonight, bitch, and yeah. And then there was no promos. We didn't really cut too many promos at first because technically everyone just had a personal vendetta and everyone kind of knew what we were doing. So we didn't really have to cut too many promos or anything like that on the very first show. So yeah, he comes out, I come out. We start battling the football field in a way. The crowd's into it. We're literally beating the shit out of each other. Like left, rights, like really freaking fighting. Like Anthony gets me right here, in a way, punches me right in the freaking mouth. My mouth starts freaking bleeding, just shoots up fucking blood. I just fucking punch him. He's literally freaking, I bust his freaking jaw. And then technically we start literally freaking battling into the bleachers in a way, into the, like under the bleachers. And we're just bashing each other's heads into the freaking bleachers. And this is real. This is not fake. This is real. Before anyone says, wow, this is fake. No, this was all real. We were bashing each other's freaking heads in. We're trying to literally freaking knock each other out, in a way. Eventually, Anthony starts literally running away from me. He goes into the bleachers, starts literally going into the crowd. Bad idea. The crowd literally freaking swarmed him in as I'm literally climbing up the bleachers, pretty much. And he's literally looking for any way out. But there is no way out, in a way. There's only one way out, and that's through me. So technically we're just battling at first, and then I tossed this son of a bitch from the bleachers, in a way, into a ditch. The bleachers must have been at least 30 feet high, and he lands right into a goddamn ditch. Like exactly like how Mick Foley took a dive from the Hell in a Cell. If you ever seen Hell in a Cell 1998, you understand what I'm talking about. When Undertaker tosses him from that. That's how I did it. I just literally tossed him. and he was literally like still trying to move, you know. So what I did in a way, I jumped up on top of the bleachers after the crowd was literally like going holy F in a way, you know. I jumped on top of the freaking bleachers and I leaped. I leaped from the bleachers right into his fucking ribs. Elbow drop, baby. Right into his freaking ribs. He's literally freaking like gasping for fucking air at this point. So I'm literally going up to Dave Hicks. I'm like, is he dead? Is he down? You know, he's the referee. He's supposed to know. So I'm literally asking him. I'm saying, is he done? Is he done? You know, he's all like, no. Match continues. The match continues. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I literally started thinking, I'm gonna kill this kid tonight. That's why I literally thought in my head, I'm gonna fucking kill this kid because he's not literally stopping the goddamn match. You know, this has really become a death match. So yeah. After about 10 minutes later, I would say probably 10 minutes, like Anthony started getting up. I was already up. I was literally cheering with the crowd. After the elbow drop, I got up about maybe 2 minutes later. I got the wind knocked out of me, but I got up. I was cheering with the crowd, you know, high-fiving, literally getting the crowd all ramped up and everything. Then he starts crawling. And then I realized, hey, wait, maybe the match is continuing. You know, he's not knocked out. He's still going. So he's literally crawling, and it looked like a horror movie. Like I'm Jason Voorhees, or Jason Voorhees, or Michael Myers, and he's Laurie Strode, you know, and he's just literally crawling, scared, like you've seen fear in his eyes. So we literally going back. I'm just literally walking slow, like a horror movie. I'm just letting him go, and then there's used to be this little pit circle, in a way, and in our area. So technically, it's where all the houses used to literally be. There used to be like a little tiny pit circle area. So he goes into there, drops, in a way, drops down right in that area. So I'm literally just going right into that area. Now, everyone that paid and everyone from the neighborhood is literally all around the freaking circle, in a way, all around. And then technically, it's just me and Anthony Zabrowski literally fighting. He literally throws a punch as I went to go check up on him. Punches me right in the freaking face. I said, that was the biggest mistake you ever did. I just start fucking wailing on him. Wailing on him. You know? Trying to literally finish the freaking match. This is when I had his sister, Crystal Zabrowski, grab my fucking foot. I fucking decked her right in the fucking face. And the reason why I decked her in the face is because I wanted to set up the next match. You see, I was building a goddamn story. So I had to literally punch her in the fucking face to build up a next story, which was going to be me and Carrie Richards versus Crystal and Anthony Zabrowski. You understand what I was literally doing? So I punched her in the freaking face. I punched her for real. I freaking punched her right in the freaking mouth. And she literally said, what the hell? I said, exactly. In a way. And I said, I'll see you next month. You know? So, yeah. So she gets freaking punched in the face and everything else. Now his punches are not even landing anymore. Eventually, his punches are not landing. They feel like goddamn mosquito bites. Each time he literally hits me, it's like a goddamn mosquito bite. So I'm going up to Dave. I'm like, come on, man. He's not even fucking fighting me anymore. You know, just end the fucking match. He's like, no, fuck, he's still going. Fucking kick his ass. So he starts crawling. He crawls to another neighbor's yard, in a way. And technically, he's literally doing this. You know, he's going side to side, jabbing. You know, he's going like this. He's literally trying. But each freaking hit's like getting weaker and weaker. And eventually, I just fucking punched him in the fucking face, start wailing on him again. That's when my mom came. This is how the match ended. My mom comes, pulls me off of him. Dave Hicks literally calls for the fucking bell. In a way. He literally says, well, technically, you knocked him out. Winner, me. Raised my hand. That was it. But honestly, he couldn't even fucking move anymore. So it was the right call for my mom to literally stop the fucking match. It's just that it literally did piss a lot of people off. in a way. It kind of did because the referee didn't do his fucking job, you know. But in all fairness, I won the match. I had my hand raised. Eventually, we did set up for match 2, in a way, which was me and Kerry Richards versus Crystal and Anthony. Now, that match didn't take place for a few months. You see, I had to go on tour with my freaking dad at the time, so I didn't. So it took a few months before I got back. Uh, after that, after I got back, it was probably around January, I would say. That's when I got contacted by this old guy at Centennial frickin' Park Arena or something like that. And he literally said, I got a boxing ring for sale. I said, boxing ring? How much? He literally said, well, technically, I'll let you have it for $500, but you have to haul it away. If you want, I can literally do it for $1,000. So I took a look at it. It was pretty old. It was a pretty old freaking ring, in a way, a little beat up. But I knew that technically we could work on it, fix it up, and get it into a wrestling ring, you know. So I paid him $500. I had a few buddies of mine and my dad and everything else literally install this boxing ring, tear it down, and we literally put it into the football field, in a way, for the next show. What I did not know was where the fuck this boxing ring was going to go when we weren't performing shows. So I literally had to freaking call the guy that was renting the football field. I said, do you have any space for this freaking thing? And technically he did. There was actually a little freaking spot underneath the freaking underneath the bleachers. He literally said, just hide it underneath there. So we would literally put it underneath there and we'll put a tarp over it so no one actually knew or anything else. So we would literally do that, and that's the way how we did things. And, you know, and yeah. Eventually we did do the tag team match. Now, how did that tag team match literally go? It was the last time Anthony Zabrowski and Crystal literally worked for me. They literally got hammered, and they lost. Scary Carey literally hit a hurricanrana, got the pinfall win against Crystal, in a way. But Anthony did not want to work for me anymore. He literally said I had enough, and that was it. After that match, they were never seen again. But yeah. Some other matches that were freaking crazy in DMW's history that we did. We did a dumpster cage match. And if you guys do not know what a dumpster cage match, I knew a guy who I was able to rent a BFI bin for $50. And he literally said, just give me $50. I'll bring a BFI bin for you. So we would literally have this BFI freaking bin that was empty. And we'll put you kids in the freaking BFI bin, and you gotta figure out how to get out. You know? And we're beating each other up in the cage, you know, and you only have like this much freaking room to literally see. So everyone's just gathered around looking at us, you know. And yeah, we did that match. That match was really freaking stupid in my opinion, but at the end of the day, some people liked it, you know. But it wasn't really something that I really wanted to do necessarily. It's just that technically I wanted to do a cage match in a way, but I couldn't afford a cage at a time. So someone literally said, well, technically, why don't you just use a dumpster? I said, okay. You know. And then technically other matches that we did the Devil's Playground match. Devil's Playground match to me is still probably the most stupidest fucking match I have ever did, in a way. Concept was cool, in a way, but holy shit was that stupid. We took a real steel cage. We took about literally, I think, close to $60-$75 for gasoline, soaked the damn freaking cage in real gasoline, and lit a mat, and literally took a blowtorch, and we went around the freaking thing, and we set this freaking bitch on fire. As me and Robbie the Rebel were literally wrestling in it, and we're beating each other up. 5 minutes into the match, me and him literally dropped down. We dropped because the freaking smoke got into our lungs. Fire department had to come out and literally freaking put out the freaking fire. We had to have oxygen masks put onto our freaking face because we couldn't fucking breathe, in a way. It was just a freaking nightmare of a freaking mess. Another match that I literally was involved in that technically, DMW history, was me and Crying Ryan. I did mention this to Mr. Nice before, in a way, that, we were doing a rooftop match. He was supposed to throw me off the off the freaking roof. There was a crash pad there, but he rock bottoms me through the freaking roof. My head literally bounces off a Polaroid camera. It's the only thing that saved my life was a Polaroid freaking camera that my head bounced off of, guys. So before you literally say, well, technically, how in the hell are you still alive? I do not know. But his head literally hit like some freaking like pillow or something like that. But my head hit a Polaroid camera. So there was a pillow and Polaroid camera inside the house. And I don't even know where the hell, how he even knew that there was a Polaroid or even anything there. I think he was trying to kill me, to be honest, because everything else was concrete underneath the freaking floor. So if we didn't hit that, my head would have bounced off the freaking concrete. I would have been probably splattered like a watermelon. Same thing with him. But he hit a pillow, I hit the Polaroid camera. We both survived that freaking horrific freaking event. You know, I literally had a concussion afterwards. So before anyone says, "Did you have a concussion?" Yeah, I had a concussion after that match, and yeah, that was not a good freaking fight in a way. But yeah, that's one match that I would never try to do again. Is a rooftop match with that son of a bitch. Never, you know. Even if I could wrestle, I would never do it. you know, and I can't wrestle anymore, anyways. But um, I'm just trying to think of other matches that were freaking insane. Ugh. But yeah, the last show was February 16, 2006. I'm gonna sort of talk about the last show in a way here, even though you know it was the end. Now, February 16, 2006 happens. No one wanted to wrestle anymore. They wanted to do all the WWE stuff. They wanted to do all the freaking fake shit. No one actually wanted to even throw a punch anymore. And I got tired of it. I just got tired. I said, you know what? If you guys don't even want to wrestle or anything, I'm not going to hire you guys. I'm going to shut down the company in a way. And that's it. And they literally said, well, technically, well, if that's it, then that's the way how it goes. February 17th came along, and I just said, here's your damn paychecks, and I'm shutting down the company. And I didn't even know if I was going to come back to the wrestling. I did not know what was going to go down. I just knew that was dead for now. And 19 years later, it's sort of dead, you know. I still am the owner. So before anyone says, did you ever sell the company? Still the owner. I never sold the company, never literally. The only thing I actually sold was probably the boxing ring, in a way, and the belt. Because, yeah, we did have a championship belt, but the championship belt didn't come until probably about 2002, 2003, when my buddy literally said, well, I have a hardcore replica title. And it was the WWF replica hardcore title. I think I paid him like maybe $50 or $60, or it was just literally like a kid's title belt in a way. And I just needed it just to literally show that we literally had something to fight for, you know. So I just bought that, and that was the only title that we had. So before anyone says, well, technically, what other titles you had? That was the only one. Before we were just wrestling because we wanted to kick each other's ass. That's pretty much it. You know, there was no titles on the line. There was nothing. Legit, like whatever. We're pretty much UFC meets freaking ECW. That's pretty much what we were. We're pretty much UFC meets ECW, and we pulled it off. You know, to the extreme. But yeah, people didn't want to wrestle, and a lot of wrestlers were leaving by 2006. So I just literally just shut it down on February 17, 2006. And also there was a death in the company um, back in October 2005, in a way. There was a death. We had Justin literally die in the company. It was a tragic. It was literally a tragic accident. Before anyone says, "Did you kill him?" It was literally just an accident, a freak accident that pretty much went wrong. And I'm going to talk a bit about it. So he was supposed to have a regular one-on-one match in the boxing ring, and everything else. He decides, well, technically, I want to be extreme. I want to be hardcore. So he goes and brings his own fucking ladder. And I even said, where the hell did this ladder come from? There's not supposed to be any ladder, in a way. The crash pad was not set up for, like, a rooftop match. So we didn't have the crash pad out. We didn't have anything. He goes and climbs up the roof. He starts battling up the roof. I'm in my office. I'm in my office doing paperwork. I do not see any of this shit go down. So before anyone says, did you see any of this shit go down? No. I was in my office, literally doing paperwork. Just about to have some food. BRB broski. Okay. That's fine, Mr. Nice. But yeah. So I'm back. So I'm literally in the office doing paperwork. I'm writing up new contracts, whatever. And in a way, I got Walter, in a way, who was a buddy of mine. Literally says, "You got to come out here freaking quick." I said, "Wait, what?" These two are literally battling on top of the freaking roof. And then before I knew it, before I can even get out, in a way, I called 911. I literally called because I literally thought, well, technically, these two guys are going to kill each other, So I called 911, and then sure enough, not even 2 minutes later, I got a message from Walter. Justin literally got tossed off the roof. He landed head first. We think his neck might be broken and everything else. I said, I just called 911. They're on their way, because I knew for a freaking fact that if there's no crash pad or anything else, it's not goddamn safe. That's why I called right away. I used a goddamn payphone that was in the office, and I literally called 911, and I literally said, well, technically this is an emergency. Please get out here, in the north end on a gravel road. I literally explained where the coordinates were, and he was still alive. Justin was still alive. He didn't die until 3 days later. So he goes to Seven Oaks Hospital. I freaking go and get in my freaking vehicle. I drive down to Seven Oaks Hospital to go see him. Parents are not happy with me one bit. They're not happy. They say, get the fuck out of here. I said, okay, I understand. So I literally get in my car. I freaking literally drive off and just whatever, But I wanted to see how he was doing, check up on him, see if he was okay. I did that with anyone that literally got severely injured in the company. I would go check up on you, make sure you're okay, And yeah, literally 3 days later, his family comes up to me and literally says, you killed our fucking kid, you son of a bitch. We're going to fucking sue you in court. They tried. I'm not going to lie. They tried. I literally did try to give them money as well. They said it's not enough. I literally tried to give them $500. I remember very well. I remember trying to give them $500. I said, you know what? I'm sorry. In a way, this is how much money I literally had. After the incident, the show did not go on like WWE or F Over the Edge. After the incident, I canceled the show. I gave everyone their freaking money back, and that's why I only had about $500 at that time. So I literally tried to give the $500 to the family, and they said, take your fucking money, we don't want it. We're going to sue you in court. They literally tried to sue me in court, but under the contract, like I said before, we always put we will be responsible for no injuries or death. I told the judge and the lawyer to look at the contract, in a way, in court. It literally states it right there in fine print. They said straight up, there's nothing you can do. He has every legal right to literally not be charged. They literally said in court, I did not throw your son off. I did not tell him what to do to go up there. They were supposed to do a regular match. So I got off on the freaking charge of that. And yeah. And you're going to say, what happened to the person that tossed him off? He did some jail time. But not for that, to be honest, which was quite weird. He did do some jail time. He got charged for car theft, if I remember correctly. and he went to jail for a few years. I can't remember his name necessarily, but it was years ago. I just sort of remember technically hearing about it, and then yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to remember some of the stuff. Like I said before, I had Rhino, I had Raven that worked. So with Rhino and Raven, we both did promos before the match. So I literally cut a promo. I came out. I was just talking trash in a way, you know. I was literally being like, there's not even one fucking wrestler that can beat me. Not one of you motherfuckers can take me on, you know? And I just literally cut a freaking promo. I literally shot to the moon. And then technically underneath the boxing ring comes freaking Raven. You know, he slides underneath out of the ring, literally freaking hits a freaking DDT on a steel chair, which actually dented my head. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a little dent in my goddamn head because of Raven in a way. And yeah, he literally, because he was supposed to hit the soft part of the steel chair, but he accidentally moved me in a way, and I ended up hitting the hard part of the goddamn chair. And he literally, and sure enough, he busted me open, and he literally said, "Well, technically, are you okay?" I remember him checking up on me. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Well, technically, maybe you should literally get an ambulance and get checked out, man. I'm like, "No, it's freaking fine." He's like, "No, man, I think you have a concussion." Because he was worried about me. I'm like, I'll be freaking fine. Sure enough, he was right. I probably did have a concussion because I was pretty knocked the fuck out off of that in a way. But honestly, I didn't like the way how we were back in the day. We just literally toughed everything out. You know, we didn't really care too much about, you know, okay, I got a concussion. We didn't give a crap if you had scars on your freaking hands, busted rib. We didn't give a crap, you know. And yeah, so we did that, and then technically we literally set up a match between. It was supposed to be me and Raven, but Raven told me I couldn't literally do the match because he thought I had a concussion. So we set up a match between Raven and Ryan, because Ryan was literally like one of the oldest people that we had at the time. So we set up a match between the two. The match didn't go very well. Ryan did not know how to really wrestle very well against Raven. They literally had a freaking fight. I remember technically Ryan going for a freaking table, and then he's crying about it. He's crying about going for a fucking table against Raven. I'll be honored to go for a fucking table against Raven, is what I told him. You know? Yeah, like, come on, man. I literally put you in the main event. People are cheering. People are literally getting over and everything else. And he's crying because he went for a fucking table. And I remember going, oh my goodness, crying fucking Ryan. And that's when technically I started that nickname. Because at the end of the day, it was literally embarrassing. You know? I set up a main event. I can't, and everything else. But yeah. And then with Rhino, when I hired Rhino, I had Rhino put me through a table. And technically, like, when I went for a table, he sort of missed in a way. So I was like, I didn't realize you're supposed to jump in a way to get put for a table. You're supposed to do like a little leap. And Rhino literally said, well, technically leap. And I'm like, leap where? In a way. And he literally said, don't you know leap means jump? You have to realize when I went against Rhino, I was only like 12, 13 years old, you know? So yeah, I got put through the freaking table, but I didn't literally jump, so my whole entire body literally crashed through the freaking table, and my whole entire spine literally went like front first into it. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be this side right here. It's supposed to be your upper back, not your lower back that goes through the table, in a way. And yeah, that's the reason why like, I literally did have some injuries in DMW. And yeah, I do remember that. And yeah. And then me and Rhino actually had the match afterwards. So me and Rhino did wrestle. It was pretty insane. Like, we literally took trash can lids. We took freaking garbage cans. We took steel chairs. We're beating each other up in a way. And even afterwards, Rhino literally pat me on the fucking back. He said, "You know what, kid? You know, you could literally work in almost any wrestling company, man." Is what he said. You can because you're one of the toughest sons of bitches in independent wrestling I've ever fucking seen. Is what he said at the time, and I agree. You know, I was pretty fucking tough, and I literally took a fucking beating from Rhino. Like it was literally not like whatever, like a normal fucking beating. Like, but for like the matches against Raven and Rhino, some of the stuff was props. So before you literally say, well, technically, you know, those were props, freaking trash cans. Those were prop steel chairs, in a way, because at the end of the day, they decided, well, technically, safety first. You know, they didn't want to literally injure me necessarily. Just they wanted to put on a show. So yeah, a lot of it was prop. you know, and you're gonna say, how did the match against Rhino ended? Honestly, Rhino literally won with a guitar shot. So we had a guitar in a way, and he goes and literally Jeff Jarrett freaking fan and bashes me in the freaking head, and I'm literally out. He gets the pinfall 1, 2, 3. Rhino literally gets the crowd going. The reason why I lost is because I knew that technically Rhino was a bigger star than me, and I wanted to get the crowd over. So I lost on purpose to get the crowd over. you know. But yeah, I got El Cabond. So yes, I had taken a guitar shot. And yeah. And yeah. Just trying to think of other matches in DMW history. But yeah, there was a lot of crazy freaking matches. Motorcycle chain match was freaking crazy. We had two bikers on real motorcycles with one freaking chain, and they literally had to drive around on a motorcycle and try to throw each other off. And this was the bikers' decision. This was not my decision. This was the biker. They literally decided, well, technically, we want entertainment. So we want two motorcycles. So we had a parking lot. We emptied out the parking lot, and we had two motorcycles literally drive around the parking lot in circles, doing donuts pretty much with a freaking chain and trying to throw each other off. And that was another match that was pretty freaking crazy that I literally said I didn't even want in my company, but the bikers did. Like, when I wasn't in control, the bikers were in control. If you catch my drift, I wasn't in control of the company all the time because I was on the road most times with my mom and dad. So when I was on the road, they would be in control. When I wasn't, then I would be in control. That's the way how the company kind of worked. Um, and if you guys were wondering how much money this company actually made, we made close to 25 grand in about 5 years. And you're gonna say, well, how much of that money was profit? Not very much. A lot of it went back into the company, to be honest. Paying for wrestlers, paying for props, paying for the wrestling ring, paying for this, paying for that. Like, I would say probably I maybe profited about maybe a couple $100 after it was all said and over, you know. And looking back, would I if I was okay and didn't have my illness and everything, would I do it again? Not wrestling necessarily, but I would love to freaking do the owner and manager in a way. I think I could actually be a really good wrestling manager. And also another thing I'm going to talk about because I just sort of remember this. There was a talks about doing a DMW Monday Night Raw here in Winnipeg, actually in 2010. And the reason why it never happened is because my dad died. So it was supposed to happen right around this time 15 years ago. And I was in talks with Bruce, in a way, Bruce Pritchard, Vince McMahon, and a few others about literally having a show over here. I even had a script written, and we were going to do DMW Monday Night Raw. I was going to bring in some of the old OG original wrestlers from DMW, and we were going to invade Monday Night Raw, and we were going to do like a rooftop match. We were going to do crazy ass matches and everything else. I literally do have the script written on my computer, but my computer doesn't work anymore about how much stuff and the reason why it never took place is because, like I said, my dad died right around that time. I was put into a mental ward because I sort of literally lost my mind. So things just didn't work out perfectly. I remember technically the last conversation I had with Vince was probably just after my dad died. He just said, "Sorry for your loss. In a way, I understand. Take as much time as you need. Maybe one day we can get back to you." Never heard from him again, just to be honest. So, but yeah, there was supposed to be a DMW Monday Night Raw, and yeah, it never came to tuition because it was supposed to be the 15th year anniversary. No, 10 year. 10-year anniversary of the show. That's the reason why I reached out to Vince in a way. I sort of did myself because technically someone got me in contact. Thank you, Raven and Rhino. And yeah, we were trying to work out a thing over here. Now, if that show would have happened, would have been the great final send off? Maybe, but it just never happened. And then also in 2020, I was trying to work out a show in a way. And then technically everyone knows what happened there. I'm not going to talk about 2020 necessarily, but I was trying to work out a show back in like 2019, 2018, I think. I started literally making plans on literally doing a like a 20-year anniversary show. Now we're in 25 years. It's a little too late. Everyone sort of literally forgot about the company. No one wants to literally even work anymore. You know, I don't even know where half these people are anymore. Probably have their own lives, so that's the reason why it's never going to probably happen. If it ever did and I got one last show, I can go on and say a farewell in a way. But, nah. But yeah, but I think that would be it for today in a way, because I'm sort of just rambling on now. So I want to thank everyone for coming out. We had Mr. Nice. We had anyone else that liked and subscribed. But yeah, that is it. And like I said, happy 25 years. Cheers, everyone. And take care.